This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
We'll be doing something very rapidly having to do with additional security for our country. You'll be seeing that sometime next week. In addition, we will continue to go through the court process, and ultimately, I have no doubt that we'll win that particular case.
Checked and balanced. The federal appeals court is ruling against the White House's ban on immigrants and refugees, but President Trump is vowing to challenge the decision. This comes as the Republican majority in the Senate continues to jam through his cabinet nominees. Will partisan politics and confrontations become the norm of this administration? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on President Trump's third week in office coming up. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight with the first performance of Circus Sarasota since that terrible accident on the high wire earlier this week. It is getting underway right now as some of its performers are still recovering in the hospital. On Wednesday, while rehearsing an 8-person pyramid stunt, 5 performers fell 28 feet to the ground. 3 suffered injuries, but all are expected to recover. Nick Wallenda was part of the rehearsal, but was able to grab onto the wire and wasn't hurt. Last night, he was right back at it with his cousin to perform a special show.
It's my cousin Blake. I mean, both of us caught the wire. Both of us had to watch that. I mean, we've been in this most of our lives together. It's surreal, you know, and obviously extremely emotional.
Wallenda is performing tonight. He says in place of the 8-person pyramid, the finale of tonight's show will include his wife and cousin. Phosphate giant Mosaic is responding to allegations related to the huge sinkhole that opened at its Mulberry plant last fall. The sinkhole dumped 215 million gallons of what the company calls slightly radioactive water into the aquifer. Suncoast Waterkeeper says Florida's Department of Environmental Protection ignored warning signs leading up to the sinkhole and didn't respond to reports showing an unnatural change in well water levels. DEP and Mosaic say the data being used to substantiate the claim is unrelated to the sinkhole.
A steady rise of 40 feet over several months. As a hydrologist, I've never encountered that.
I don't think they did their diligence on evaluating the data. I think they chose some data they thought could carry a message and ran with it whether or not the message was correct.
The new allegations come ahead of Manatee County Commission's meeting next week, where commissioners will decide whether or not Mosaic can expand mining operations at its Wingate East facility. We continue to follow the case of a former Sarasota County Sheriff's deputy accused of attempted murder. A fellow officer accused of lying to investigators was charged yesterday, but her attorney says the sheriff's office has no case. 23-year-old Carson Plank responded to the home of the woman former Deputy Frank Bybee is accused of trying to kill. She told investigators she had not spoken to Bybee, who was on administrative leave at the time, but according to reports, Plank alerted him to details about the case. During a bond hearing this week, it also surfaced others had also been keeping Bybee in the loop.
I called him and we talked about my interview and I asked him whether or not he did anything. He said no, and we moved on.
Plank also allegedly failed to report blood evidence found at the scene. Plank's attorney says the case is political. Meanwhile, a Punta Gorda police officer is being investigated after using a taser on a 91-year-old man with dementia. According to police reports, officers were called to the Sterling Senior Assisted Living Center on Wednesday, but because the elderly man was waving his fists and threatening others to kill off others, police say when they tried to talk to him, he began kicking and biting an officer. An officer tasered him. Now the chief is launching an investigation. This is the second internal investigation at the Punta Gorda Police Department in the past 6 months. Last August, another officer accidentally shot a 73-year-old woman during a police training session. The incident is still being investigated by the state's attorney's office. A Nokomis man is under arrest tonight accused of raping a 17-year-old girl he met through Facebook. 22-year-old Devin Fritsch is facing charges of felony sexual battery. According to detectives, the victim says she met Fritsch through Facebook and agreed to meet him at his house. Detectives say Fritsch changed his story 3 times. The legal age of consent in Florida is 18 years old. Now to a follow-up on the deadly boating accident earlier this week. One man was killed, another was able to swim to shore. Now the survivor is speaking exclusively to ABC7. The incident happened in Sarasota Bay, offshore from the Ringling Museum. Alex Duval is a former Italian boat racer. He says he and his friend Tony Espinoza was test driving a boat like this one Tuesday around 7 p.m. Duval says the boat was going about 40 miles per hour when something caused it to spin out, throwing them into the water.
After I talk with Tony, I talk and he asked me, you're fine? And I say, yes. And you are fine? And he say, yes, I'm fine.
Duval was able to swim to shore while Espinoza waited at the boat. He was shocked to learn his friend had died. Investigators are still trying to determine what caused the crash and how Espinoza died. Lecom Park is a landmark destination in Bradenton. That's right, the spring training home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Say what? McKechnie Field is now Lecom Park. The city making the announcement this morning. It is part of a 15-year naming rights agreement between the city of Bradenton and Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, which operates a campus in Lakewood Ranch. Josh, it just doesn't sound right yet.
Yeah, just the ring of it. You know, we've been kind of conditioned to say one thing for so many years, and now we have to change it up a little bit, but change can be good. And looks like we will actually have a change in our weather as we go through this weekend. We had a chilly start to our day and also windy conditions. Right now it's 65 degrees. Temperatures could actually be about 10 degrees cooler in the later overnight hours. But look at the dew points, very low right now. It's very dry outside. High pressure has a firm grip of the southeast and the entire state of Florida with that wind coming out of the north and northeast. But winds won't be as breezy like they were earlier today. As we go through the overnight hours, we are calling for clearer conditions, but temperatures will fall into the mid to lower 50s. But Alan, the upcoming weekend looks brilliant. A lot of sunshine in our forecast and looking very comfortable with our temperatures. We'll talk about that. And also the best chance for rain looks to come in by next week. We'll break that down for you in just a little bit.
All right. Thanks a lot, Josh. And still to come, President Trump's cabinet is coming together despite opposition from Democrats on Capitol Hill. But it's not all coming up for roses for the White House. An appeals court is ruling against his travel ban. We'll have the details when we return.
Join us this Saturday night at 7 o'clock and 11:30 for the House to Home Show, featuring some of the finest homes for sale right here on the Sun Coast. Whatever your taste, you're certain to find properties that satisfy your particular buying preferences. Presented by SWC Properties right here on ABC7.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC7. We're here for you.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need
the Debt Ninja. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you could be facing wage garnishments, levies, liens, property seizure, cancellation of business license, closure of business. The Debt Ninja fights your IRS debt. That's why you need the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja has found the best companies in the country who are on your side to fight debt. Want to learn if you qualify for the IRS Financial Hardship Program? Stop the IRS from garnishing your wages. Even if your bank account has been seized, if you have undeclared taxes, if you have existing IRS debt, it's not too late to call, so grab your phone now. Call the Debt Ninja at 800-945-0083. That's 800-945-0083. Settle your IRS debt to get the power of the Debt Ninja. Dial this number now, 800-945-0083.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Come out to the best party of the season, the Goodwill Mardi Gras Gala on February 28th at Michael's on E. Tickets at experiencegoodwill.org.
Whether a family member needs a little extra help around the house, assistance recovering from a hospital stay, or someone to check in on them throughout the week, Right at Home's in-home care is the answer. Your loved one deserves the right care, and now we need caregivers to help give the right care for the right reasons, the right way. At Right at Home, we're one of the only private home health agencies in this area with the opportunity to earn paid time off. If you're someone who loves helping people, take a look at our website and click on jobs to join our team today.
Well, it hasn't been boring. From an appeals court travel ban smackdown to the dissing of judges, 2 U.S. senators, and the department store chain that dropped his daughter's clothing line, it has been quite a week 3 for President Trump. You couldn't blame him for saying TGIF as he left on Air Force One for Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. ABC's Janae Norman is there and breaking down the latest.
The president made clear he's taking the case over his ban on travel from 7 predominantly Muslim countries to the Supreme Court, and now dropping hints about his next move for national security in the meantime.
We'll be doing something very rapidly having to do with additional security for our country. You'll be seeing that sometime next week.
The unanimous appeals court ruling against the president's executive order cited the government has pointed to no evidence supporting the ban, and today President Trump not offering anything more than his word.
I've learned tremendous things that you could only learn, frankly, if you were in a certain position, namely president. And there are tremendous threats to our country. We will not allow that to happen.
And just a few miles away, protesters not allowing Betsy DeVos to enter a Washington, D.C. middle school.
Find your way to the position. You should be so proud of yourself.
The Secretary of Education, who was narrowly confirmed in the Senate, appearing shaken as security led her away while protesters yelled, "Shame!
Shame! Shame! Shame!"
Arne Duncan, a Secretary of Education under President Obama, responded, tweeting, "Agree or disagree on any issue, but let's all agree she really needs to be in public schools. Please let her in." And DeVos herself responding in a statement saying she respects peaceful protest and will not be deterred, adding no school door in America should be blocked from those seeking to help our nation's school children. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
Our panel of political experts is standing by. When we return, we'll speak to a Republican, a Democrat, and a political editor. In the moment, we take it to the trapezoid.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Are you considering joint replacement or revision surgery? Consider this. Dr. Edward Stolarski has performed thousands of successful joint replacement procedures and trained surgeons from all over the world. Using advanced technologies, Dr. Stolarski is able to perform some of the most complex surgeries.
I wish I knew about Dr. Stolarski much sooner.
After the surgery, I don't have any pain. It's like I've got a 16-year-old hip.
My name's Ed Stolarski. What I really do is I give people back their life.
Schedule a consultation today.
What does it mean when New South Window says Factory Direct?
It means we have a factory.
It means we eliminate the middleman.
It means you get an award-winning, energy-efficient window at factory direct prices.
Plus, New South windows are made in Florida.
Fort Florida Home.
By Florida workers. Because we know Florida weather.
Right now, buy 2 windows, get the 3rd free, plus our lifetime warranty. New South Window. We manufacture, we install, we guarantee. Call now.
Welcome back. The legal battle over President Trump's travel ban is dominating the headlines, but it has been a busy week for the administration. Congressional Democrats have been working to block the president's cabinet nominations despite the efforts. Jeff Sessions was confirmed as Attorney General. Betsy DeVos was confirmed as Education Secretary. Steve Mnuchin was confirmed as Treasury Secretary, and Tom Price was confirmed as Secretary of Health and Human Services. Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch is also apparently calling the president's attacks on the judiciary disheartening and demoralizing. And joining us for more on President Trump's 3rd week in office is Kevin Griffith, the vice chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party, Christian Ziegler, state committee man for the Republican Party of Sarasota, and Zach Anderson, the politics editor for the Sarasota Herald Tribune. Here's what we're going to do. Christian, in 25 seconds or less, how would you describe this past week?
Successful. I think that you look at the nominees, he's got his team put together, and it's exciting.
Kevin, in 25 seconds or less, how would you describe this week?
Unsuccessful and followed by many unforced dramas brought on by the Trump administration and his team themselves, more so than the Democrats or any outside opposition.
And Zach, you're the guy who does not have a dog in the fight. How would you describe the week?
I don't think it's been a great week for Trump. You know, to have these setbacks, Trump's whole image is about winning. It's about strength. And these were some setbacks for him. To have the immigration ban overturned, I don't think it hurts him with his supporters. But I think if these things start to add up, it sort of looks like a little bit of amateur hour at the White House.
I couldn't help notice the other night you tweeted. And yes, I'm following you on Twitter. For the record, I am not tired of winning yet. Keep up the good work, Mr. President.
Yep.
And obviously, he got most of his cabinet through this week, which is obviously good news for him, although it was not that easy. On the other hand, you know, starting last Friday night, you had the federal judge who was appointed by George W. Bush temporarily blocking the immigration travel ban. Then on Saturday, the president blasted the judges, calling the judge a so-called judge. You know, on Sunday, the president equates Russia's political violence under Putin to violence in the U.S. On Wednesday, he criticizes Nordstrom for dropping his daughter's clothing line. And then on Friday, you know, or yesterday, the appeals court unanimously refused to reinstate the travel ban. It seems like, objectively, it has not been an easy week.
Well, I think there's a difference between running a business and running government, and Trump's figuring out that it's frustrating dealing with not only a dysfunctional government, but also a liberal court system. And you look at the Ninth Circuit, it's about as liberal as you get.
But with 2 judges appointed by Republican presidents.
Yeah, but I mean, as we've seen, both Democrats and Republicans will appoint someone and they don't necessarily turn out as planned. And I think that's what you're seeing here. The Ninth Circuit, again, they're overturning a ban that Americans overwhelmingly support. When you look at the polling data. So I think Trump's pursuing policy and issues that the American public's behind. And meanwhile, you have dysfunctional Washington trying to block it. You have a liberal court system trying to block it. And that's exactly why Trump won, is because people are tired of Washington and government as usual. And that's the role he's playing.
Kevin, despite all this, the president, as we said, has gotten most of his cabinet members passed this week. It doesn't matter if it's close. The Democrats could really, in the end, only do 1.
Yeah, and at the moment, the Democrats aren't in power, and so you're going to see Democrats do what they're able to do, and that's to delay some of them, but more so to reach out to their congressmen and senators, as well as you've seen even locally here, people rallying to let them know that, hey, our voice is going to be heard. But let me step back real quick to what Christian was speaking about. You know, Trump is 0 for 2 so far in front of the courts. And I, as a lawyer, this is a proud week for me. And not because of the politics of it, but because of the checks and balances of it. And the thing is, it could go to the Supreme Court and it could go a different way. I don't know. But the process works. And also, 2 of the 4 judges, the district judge and then the Court of Appeals judges, were Republicans. So you can't always play the victim and say it's a liberal court. It's not a liberal court. I mean, the district judge was appointed by a Republican. That's not a liberal. That's a Republican.
I will tell you, the Ninth Circuit, I think they have an 80% turnover record with the Supreme Court. So they typically put down rulings that the Supreme Court comes back and says, you guys are totally out to lunch. And I think you would see that with this. If it was challenged, I don't think Trump's going to take it to the Supreme Court at this time. But what Kevin was saying there is the Democrats, as you mentioned, Alan, they're not in power. Their only move isn't just to delay, but it's to obstruct government. And that plays right in the hands of the American public of being tired of Washington not getting anything done.
I want to get into that more in the next block, but first, Zach, do you get any kind of sense in our community with the local political activists that you talk to on a daily basis that the mood or the momentum has changed, at least in Sarasota and Manatee and the Tampa Bay area?
I think definitely. When you look at just politics in general, usually the party in power is usually under fire. That, you know, it's a lot easier to be against something than it is to defend something. So you're definitely seeing more movement behind the liberals right now. You see, you know, the Women's March on Washington, and you had a huge, you know, corresponding march here in Sarasota. I do think there is more momentum right now. It's building. Whether it gets up to sort of Tea Party levels, it remains to be seen. But I also think that Trump supporters are digging in. They haven't been knocked off the president at this point. As Christian brought up, you know, they look at the Ninth Court of Appeals and they say that's just a liberal court. So there's a lot of ways for them to sort of dismiss what's happened and say, you know, it's not really the president's fault. He's trying, and you know, we're going to stick with him.
All right, we're just going to take a short break here. We're just getting started on our discussion of President Trump's third week in office. We'll continue in a moment, but after a check on our weather, so stay with us.
Every person is different and every real estate deal is unique. That's why experience matters. I enjoy guiding my customers through the process of buying or selling a home because there's so much that can happen. I want them to enjoy the real estate experience as much as I do. I'm Eric Schrock with SWC Properties. I love being in real estate.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on a pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
Join us for Sarasota Opera's 2017 Winter Festival, opening February 11th. Featuring Puccini's most famous opera, Madame Butterfly, Rossini's delightful comedy, The Italian Girl in Algiers, Poulenc's heartbreaking Dialogues of the Carmelites, and the medieval thriller, The Love of Three Kings by Italo Montemezzi. Tickets are on sale now. Call 941-328-1300 or visit sarasotaopera.org.
Luxury for less at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or a 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We're located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Our discussion of President Trump's third week in office continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from meteorologist Josh Stone. Josh.
All right, Alan, we had a beautiful day today, and it looks like our forecast is going to really shape up over the weekend, but it's going to be quite cool tonight, and then a warm weekend in store for us, and the best chance for rain comes later next week. But high pressure really has a firm grip over the southeast, not giving us a cloud to talk about at all. So expect clear skies tonight, 65 degrees right now. The dew point is very low at 35 degrees, and that's just a measure of how much moisture there is in the atmosphere, and there's not a lot of it at all. It's quite windy today. Things have now subsided. We're going to have that northeasterly wind. We did top out at 75, which was pretty comfortable, but the winds made it feel a lot cooler than that, and no rain to speak of for today. Temperatures right now along the coast, 65 in Sarasota, 66 in Inglewood right now, 63 in Arcadia, 61 on Lake Placid, and looks like our temperature is going to fall maybe about 10 or 12 degrees cooler than that through the overnight hours, and then we're going to climb up in the mid to upper 70s tomorrow with lots of sunshine as this area of high pressure in control. You can see the clockwise flow around the area of high pressure as these clouds come in from the east and then eventually the southeast. There's a little front that's coming in from the northwest that's going to wash itself out in northern Florida and not really affect us over the weekend. There is a system coming into California bringing some very heavy rainfall out here, and also we were talking about over the last couple of days the very vigorous system up here in the northeast producing some very heavy snow at times, up to maybe 19 or 20 inches of snow fell, and especially higher amounts in the upper elevations like in the White Mountains of Maine. If you're taking the boat out tomorrow, expect winds out of the southeast becoming southwest, and the chop will be a little bit lighter, more tolerable than what we had today. Your tides, tomorrow's low tide will be at 7:42 a.m., the high tide at 1:38. And then tonight's low here in Sarasota, 52. Some areas a little bit cooler than this for the overnight, and then areas along the coast actually maybe around 55 degrees. And as you go for the next several days, lots of sunshine in our forecast, temperatures above our average high is 73, so looking very good there. And the best chance for rain comes our way next Thursday. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 1-800-565-7740. That's 1-800-565-7740.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing President Trump's third week in office. Our guests tonight are Kevin Griffith of the Sarasota County Democratic Party, Christian Ziegler, a Republican state committee man, and a Zach Anderson, political editor for the Herald Tribune. We start talking about the Democratic grassroots that we're seeing right now. Jason Chaffetz, a congressman from Utah, he had the town hall meeting last night. It got, pretty, it was packed. There were a lot of people there pushing him in terms of the repeal of Obamacare. I believe Gus Bilirakis, a local congressman from Pinellas County, he also had a lot of opposition last Saturday. And I'm wondering if, Zach, are you hearing anything in terms of Gus,
Vern Buchanan's Congressman Buchanan. It's interesting you bring that up because I just got an email today from somebody who was asking me, I haven't heard of any town halls for Congressman Buchanan. Have you heard of anything? And it seemed to me like it was somebody who wanted to get out there and protest. I think people are hearing about these protests and other town halls that congressmen are holding. They're looking for the opportunity here. Buchanan has not scheduled any town halls since Trump got elected, and maybe because he might be concerned about what might happen. He has typically held a lot of town halls. In fact, he took a lot of pride in opening himself up to the public and has held dozens of town halls since I've been at the paper. So it's interesting that he hasn't at this point, but I do think that there are people who are looking to make these events into a sort of a political spectacle for sure.
Christian, I know that Speaker Ryan met with House members this week and basically suggested that they beef up security and be prepared for this. It would seem to me the easiest way to avoid it is not to have town hall meetings for a while.
Well, I think it's somewhat laughable to criticize Vern for not having town halls. I don't know if there's a member of Congress that's held more town halls than Congressman Vern Buchanan.
But that was then, not that.
Well, no, this is as of even like probably a month or two ago. I mean, this isn't like he took a break. They do them in waves. But when you look at like the Betsy DeVos thing that happened today.
Right, and we have some video of that.
All right, we'll talk about that in a second.
No, I mean, you could talk about it because
well, I think what you're going to see on the video are two things. Number one, Democrats are frustrated because both their leaders and their parties failed them. So now they're taking their efforts and they're taking their aggression to literally the schoolhouse. And you have Betsy DeVos, who's trying to go into a public school in Washington, D.C. And you look at Washington, D.C., the second part of this is Washington, D.C. is double the cost of the national average, but they get half the results. And if anyone can help them, it's Betsy DeVos, and they're blocking her from going.
But 2 points here. I think we showed earlier in the broadcast, Arnie Duncan, Obama's education secretary, pleaded with people not to do that because it's wrong. But I would imagine others might say what's good for the goose is good for the gander, because back during the Tea Party phase in 2009 and 2010, a lot of Democratic members of Congress had their town hall meetings that...
Well, those are town hall meetings. I have not seen a Secretary of Education blocked from going into a public school. And when you look at the protesters, these were the teachers union. It was also Black Lives Matter protesters, probably funded from some organization that it needs to be found out who funded them, because they had printed signs. It was very well organized. But again, this is a public school. And she's trying to go into a public school, and she was blocked physically. I will tell you, if that happened at an abortion clinic, what would the response be? Those people would have been arrested right away.
Kevin, do you see a building of momentum and grassroots interest in terms of, from area Democrats?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm getting emails from people that I know haven't been involved in the past who are asking how can they get involved. And it's not just about getting involved, but it's substantive. They're saying about Congressman Buchanan. Actually, I think there was an article in the Herald Tribune this past week where there were 50 people there talking about the refugee ban. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are out there, and it's a this is America. You know, democracy is a good thing. This is a healthy outlet of getting your voice to be heard by your representative. Let's remember, Vern Buchanan works for us, the people. So it's his job to listen to his constituents, not just those constituents who agree with him.
I think it's a healthy process. I agree with Kevin, but it crosses the line when you start blocking education secretaries from going into public schools to get their job done on our behalf. And number two, when you're blocking service members from going down to the National Mall to watch the presidential parade, I mean, it gets a little ridiculous, a little bit aggressive, and that's when you cross the line. That's when
I'd certainly agree with the nonviolent. Protests should be nonviolent, and I would applaud the 10,000 people who showed up for the Women's March here in Sarasota, and even the Sarasota Police Department thanked them. And we were thanking them. It was totally nonviolent, and 10,000 people spontaneously.
Let's get back to the week that was in terms of President Trump. Yes, he got his cabinet members. He got into it, on the other hand, got into name-calling basically with the appeals court judges who were deciding the travel ban case. And a strange situation where apparently his Supreme Court justice is making his own comments, which the president is now denying. There were a lot of things that were going on this week that it seemed like he was fighting with a lot of people who support him, including Senator McCain, who he called, said that Senator McCain is used to losing. And Kristen, I wanted to ask you about something that David Brooks, who is a conservative columnist for the New York Times, wrote today, which says Donald Trump didn't have to have an administration that was at war with everyone but its base. He came to office with a populist mandate that cut across partisan categories. He could have created an unorthodox coalition that led to unexpected alliances that would have been broken the logjam of politics. Agree or disagree?
Well, I think what you're seeing Donald Trump do, I don't know why everyone's so shocked with the actions he's taken, because for 18 months he campaigned on them and he's coming in and executing them, right? And when you look at Donald Trump and whether he's at war or saying stuff about other individuals, I mean, he's aggressively out there trying to get an agenda done, an agenda accomplished. And if he wasn't doing that, the media, just like yourself, you'd be criticizing for not doing what he was saying he was going to do.
How does that advance his agenda to go after Nordstrom's or Senator McCain or Senator Blumenthal?
I think it's clear you have a candidate here that does not filter his message through 3, 4, 5 comm staff. He speaks what's on his mind. And again, he did that during the campaign. And the American public, they elected him president after doing that. And I think if he got into office and he changed, and there would be another, set of criticism now. So it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. But if the role was reversed, you guys would be criticizing him for not doing it.
Zach, I wanted to ask you almost the same question, because obviously our area went overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. But again, as David Brooks says, he seems to be at war with everyone but his base.
Yeah, and Jeb Bush famously called Trump a chaos candidate, and we all know what happened to Jeb Bush, but I think there is some truth to that statement. I mean, there is a sense from this administration that it's very unpredictable, it's very loosely organized, there's a lot of leaks going on, there's a lot of people, even his own Supreme Court nominee apparently was pushing back against some of the things that he was saying, and so there is a sense of a little bit of chaos, a little bit of disunity in his administration. Now, Trump thrived on chaos during his campaign. He was not the most disciplined candidate, and he did fine. We'll see if that works once you get in the White House.
But remember, you're referencing his base, that he's governing for his base. His base elected him. His base is frustrated with how Washington's been working, so of course he's going to change it.
But instead of reaching across the aisle and starting with an infrastructure bill or paid family medical leave, which is what he talked about and which is a working class type populist message policy, which he ran on, he hasn't even talked about that. They're on these unforced dramas of McCain and
we have.
Alan, that's the first time I've heard anyone criticize him for not getting something done. He is getting everything that he's campaigning on.
If you're warring with all these parties, what are you getting done right now?
I mean, I think you can look at his record in the past 3 weeks. And there's no one that would say, that's what Kevin right here, no one would say that he hasn't gotten his agenda passed that he's been trying to
Some of these things like the immigration ban, I mean, these are not unpopular things. 86% of Republicans, I think, support it. There's been a little bit of move away from it because of, I think, maybe the way that it was implemented, and independent support for it has dropped. But this is not an unpopular policy per se. So he has moved forward with some things that he talked about on the campaign trail that have a significant amount of support in this country.
Alan, but going back to what Christian and Zach just said, in this chaos candidate, you can't govern with chaos. You can't just put out a executive order and expect it to pass if it hasn't been vetted and run through the channels that it's supposed to run through. And that's what you see now.
Finally, every new administration has its bumps when they get into office. But you look at what happened with Kellyanne Conway yesterday. Conway talking about the Ivanka Trump clothing line inappropriately in the White House briefing room. Now, with General Flynn today, the National Security Advisor, comes the news that he may well have been talking about sanctions with Russia before he took office, which would be technically a violation of the Logan Act. These are not things that are helpful to a new administration.
I think the only legitimate criticism that you can have of Trump is that he's done too much, maybe a little too soon. With that said, on the flip side, that's exactly what the American people want, because politicians, they always campaign on one thing and they never execute, and that's what Trump's doing.
Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about the controversial practice known as conversion therapy. Stay with us.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
Florida's last private island is a waterfront lifestyle like no other. This is Harbor Isle, just 5 minutes from the sugar sand beaches of Anna Maria Island. This sun-splashed paradise invites you to enjoy natural adventures and all the recreation of a tropical resort. Island coach homes and waterfront condos are now available from the high 400s, plus incredible savings on move-in ready homes. Come tour 6 designer models. This is the time of your life. Make it island time at Harbor Isle. Go to mintofla.com now.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
Go ahead. Make a fashion statement. Demand something more than just ordinary. Capture elegance in every turn and drive with flair. Where beautiful styling is standard. Stop in and take a test drive. I'll guarantee you'll never go back to plain vanilla again. The all-new 2017 Fiat 500 starting at $14,999. Only at Sunset Fiat in Sarasota.
Contemporary Cabinetry and Closet Concepts. Our strength is in building a relationship with our clients. Locally owned and operated for over 30 years. When you organize your home, you simplify your life. Call today for a free in-home consultation or visit the web at contemporarycabinetry.srq.com.
Welcome back. See you in court. That was President Trump's response to a court's decision to uphold the stay on this travel ban. Can we expect him to keep flexing his executive authority? Will our judges take him to task? Our guest join us right now for final thoughts. And Kevin, I want to ask you about that, but I also want to ask you whether you believe local Democrats can take advantage of some of the chaos that's going on right now.
It's our responsibility. It's not about taking advantage, but it's about bringing a message to the voters of a clear policy alternative to Trump and holding him accountable. There's two things, right? You can be against something, but you also have to be for it. And we're taking that on. We have an issues committee at the local Democratic DEC. You saw and Zach wrote about where we went to the county commission and spoke out on the Siesta Promenade issue. Democrats are excited and motivated.
Christian, I have to ask you, do you hope and wish that somehow the president can tighten up his messaging so we are not talking about all these other things from department stores to fake news, and he can continue on his agenda?
Well, I think the people talking about him are the members of the media that are highlighting him. Yeah, but you're highlighting it, you're talking about that. But meanwhile, as you guys are discussing all of those issues, he's executing the plan that he campaigned on. Point by point by point by point. And to be honest, what do I care about a president? I think the only thing that I care about is the actions that are getting done, and he's executing to a T on what he campaigned on, what I supported him on, and what the American people supported him on.
Looking from afar, Zach, do you think over the last 3 weeks, the last week that the administration has been effective in terms of starting to bring about the change it campaigned on?
You know, I was just talking to a Trump supporter today about this, and I was saying, you know, the immigration ban, you know, just got overturned by the court. Do you hold that against Trump? He pushed this through, and obviously it wasn't legally sound, at least according to this one court. And she said, no, I want him to do what I think is right, And you know, if it doesn't work out, that's fine. But I want him to do what I think is right. So I think his supporters are behind him still. I think it's going to be really hard to push them off. I think if it looks like he's too distracted, if there's too much chaos going on, that could start to become an issue for him.
Okay, we'll leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, conversion therapy. It is also known as reparative therapy. The idea is to turn homosexuals straight. 6 states have banned the practice, and now Florida is considering legislation against it. Since it is mostly done by faith-based groups, they would be exempt under the First Amendment. We asked you what you think, and Sandy Hess-Snyder writes, if people want to pay a therapist to try to change their lives, why are people against it? Besides, who are we to say whether it's good or bad? George Capello writes, are you serious? Why, on any level, would you condone any part of conversion therapy? What year is it for you? Really, born this way? And Suzanne Wyatt writes, please ban this practice. It ruins lives. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, want to watch past roundtables discussions? They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Kevin Griffith is the vice chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party. Christian Ziegler is a Republican state committee man for Sarasota County. And Zach Anderson is the politics editor for the Sarasota Herald Tribune. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather. Plus, it's time to reload. What to do when you run out of ammo during a killing spree. Buy some more. Find out how it happened. The details in our primetime headlines.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Ideologue. I am an originalist.
What does it mean when New South Window says Factory Direct?
It means we have a factory.
It means we eliminate the middleman.
It means you get an award-winning, energy-efficient window at factory direct prices.
Plus, New South windows are made in Florida.
Fort Florida Home.
By Florida workers. Because we know Florida weather.
Right now, buy 2 windows, get the 3rd free, plus our lifetime warranty. New South Window, we manufacture, we install, we guarantee. Call now.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in just a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our weekend forecast from meteorologist Josh Stone. Josh.
All right, thanks so much, Alan. Well, it was a beautiful day as far as sunshine goes, and temperatures were in the 70s, but it was a bit chilly with those northerly winds, and they were breezy at times. But expect a cool night tonight. Warm and sunny conditions over the weekend is going to be beautiful, and then rain looks to come in as we get into late next week. But high pressure in control of our area, and also the northerly winds, northeasterly winds, bringing down that cooler air from the north. So it's going to be temperatures maybe in the low 50s tonight for overnight lows. Right now it's 65 degrees, clear skies. Dew point, though, very low, only at 35 degrees. It's a measure of how much moisture there is in the atmosphere. There's not a lot of it at all. We did top out at 75, but it felt a lot cooler than that with that wind that was breezy at times today, and our average for this time of the year is 73. No rain to speak about today, but current temperatures right now along the coast, mid-60s, 63 in Northport right now. And like I said, the overnight hours temperatures will fall into the mid to low 50s. Some areas won't be surprised inland. We could actually dip into the upper 40s, but we rebound very nicely as we get into tomorrow. And on Sunday, same forecast. High pressure control, lots of sunshine, and temperatures will soar into the mid to upper 70s. Big storm system that produced the heavy snowfall up in New England wrapping up, but they're digging out with 19 plus inches of snow in some locations. For the boaters, well, the winds will calm down for the weekend. Expect seas just offshore at 2 feet with a light chop in the afternoon, and the beach temperature will be 73 degrees. There's your tides for tomorrow, high tide at 138. And tonight's low 52 in Sarasota, but some areas could be a little bit cooler than this. And then for tomorrow's high, a beautiful 78 degrees. Remember, our average for this time of the year is 73. And beautiful conditions for the next several days. The best chance for rain comes our way next Thursday. Stay with us. Alan will be right back.
An important message for Americans eligible for Medicare.
Are you receiving all the benefits available to you?
Now's the time to find the coverage that's right for you at the right price. The way to do that is to explore your options. You can spend hours doing that yourself, or you can call Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you.
Let us find you the right plan at the right price and see if you qualify to lower your prescription costs.
Put our free service to work for you at no charge.
Call 1-800-738-1923.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
The official salon of ABC7. Cutting Loose Salon.
Now for your primetime headlines. Immigrant groups continue the vow to continue fighting to keep families together after more raids by ICE agents overnight. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez is following the latest on the backlash from Los Angeles.
Protesters blocking the entrance ramp to a freeway in Los Angeles. Deportation! Demonstrating after raids this week, immigration officials say led to the arrest of more than 160 foreign nationals in Southern California, claiming nearly all had criminal histories.
Well, if they're being picked up and deported, they're the right people.
But immigrant right groups maintain that following President Trump's executive order instructing authorities to increase deportations, now more than ever, families are being torn apart. Marlene Mosquedo says her father was one of the people picked up by immigration agents overnight.
They called me in at 7 a.m. telling me that my father was being deported and he got captured.
And a Texas councilman is also raising concerns over what he calls a recent large amount of immigration and customs enforcement actions in Austin. ICE confirms that there, one of its agents was injured Friday morning in a scuffle while the officer was arresting a criminal alien.
ICE officer says that he got punched, but I saw more scratches and cuts on my son-in-law than I did on the ICE officer.
And that case is still under investigation. ICE tells ABC News that officer was treated in a hospital and released. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Here in Florida, it was not all that long ago that Florida's chief financial officer, Jeff Atwater, was a rising Republican star and future governor or U.S. senator. Today, he is resigning his post to take a job at Florida Atlantic University. He says he will remain in his post until the start of the legislative session in March. Atwater is the former state Senate president. He was elected as CFO in 2010 and reelected in 2014. Term limits block him from seeking a third term. Governor Scott will appoint someone to fill the rest of his term. A move is underway to block local governments from creating their own business regulations. Under a bill being filed in Tallahassee, no city, county, school district, or local government can impose new restrictions without authorization from the state. It would cover everything from environmental rules to sign stores use. Opponents say these decisions should be left up to individual communities.
We're a very big state. We're a very, very diverse state, and we bask in that diversity and richness. But we also know that Tallahassee and Jackson County and Miami-Dade County and Orange County and all over this state, there are differences.
Access to medical marijuana could be impacted by the proposal. Many local governments are already creating regulations on how to distribute, can operate. Bipartisan legislation is being filed to ban the use of anabolic steroids on greyhound racing dogs. If a dog tests positive for steroids, penalties would be brought against the owner. There are 19 dog tracks left in the United States, and 12 of them are in Florida. The majority lose money on racing, but retain them because of a law allowing poker rooms at dog tracks. New details in the two-state killing spree by an Alabama couple. According to an affidavit, Mary Rice was able to buy ammunition at a Florida Walmart after her boyfriend, William Boyette, had already shot and killed 4 women. Boyette fatally shot himself during a standoff with police in Georgia. Rice faces multiple charges, including accessory to first-degree murder. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a great weekend.